From KAMR Local 4 News, your local election headquarters, this is Politics Today.
We're taking a deeper look at the 2024 Community Status Report and the challenges that residents in Potter and Randall counties are facing. And details on a simulation meant to help people understand the challenges many residents across the High Plains face daily. Potter and Randall counties continue to have increasingly high hunger rates and family violence. Just some of what we are seeing in the United Way of Amarillo and Canyon released of the 2024 Community Status Report. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Jack Kessler. It's a data-driven snapshot of challenges facing the people of Potter and Randall counties. For example, as far as infant mortality, Randall County had higher rates than both Texas and U.S., and the Potter County had a higher rate than all three. Family violence rates for Potter County are extremely high relative to Texas, but particularly relative to Randall County rates. Both counties have public school systems which perform at and usually above comparison statewide performance levels. Between 2020 and 2024, the total population of Potter County was static and its child population decreased, but the median age for both Potter and Randall counties is younger than the U.S. average by 5 to 6 years. Now, the United Way is using all of this data to help the people in Potter and Randall County.
You're going to see statistics based on information regarding the food insecurity rates in Amarillo and Canyon, possibly the unemployment rates in Amarillo and Canyon. You'll see information on child care resources, domestic violence, all kinds of different issues and barriers that our population is facing.
Stoddard says a lot of the stats do not change a lot year to year.
Our unemployment rate in Amarillo and Canyon sits pretty low. It's like 3 to 5%. It's lower than the state average. It's lower than the national average. It means folks are hardworking and working in this community. But our food insecurity rate is actually really high. It's 17% or higher in both communities.
She has the stats do aid in grant writing for their nonprofit partners and those in the community.
So this is where we would use the community status report to look at gaps in the community, gaps in services, gaps in access, and be able to aid either our partners or our friends, either financially or through convening and collaborating with local nonprofits that are maybe already doing work in those gap areas.
Kylie Murray, President and CEO of United Way of Amarillo and Canyon, says this data report allows them to attack these problems as a whole.
We see a problem, we identify it, and then we attack it collectively, and that's really the point. It continues to bring us together and keeps a large spotlight on the problems as a whole.
Also highlighted in this year's report was that nearly 28% of children living in Potter County live in poverty. In Randall County, that percentage takes a drastic drop to just over 8%. And you can take a look at that full report on our website, myhighplains.com. About 80 people took part in a poverty simulation to better understand the challenges many families face. On Wednesday, community leaders, volunteers, and employees participated in a poverty simulation. The goal is to show what it's like to live in poverty. Participants role-played as low-income families dealing with issues like housing, food, and transportation over a 4-week period. The event aims to raise awareness about the struggles faced by many families in our area. In Potter and Randall counties, nearly 45% of households live either below the poverty line or are barely getting by. Officials say this experience is about understanding the tough choices many face, like deciding whether to pay a bill or buy groceries.
And so once you go through this training, if you're not technically in poverty right now, most of us have been, it really gives you reminders of what life was like, but it also paints a great picture for those of us that aren't in poverty to know what our families and our community are going through.
Participants took on the identities of low-income families, including senior citizens on Social Security, parents on financial assistance, and individuals living with disabilities. The event is part of United Way's larger efforts to raise awareness and support for programs aimed at breaking the cycle of poverty. The $1 million project to improve water mains in the North Heights neighborhood is set to begin this week. The $1.28 million needed to fund the project was unanimously approved by the City Council back in June, with the money coming out of the City of Amarillo's Water and Sewer Fund revenues. Well, the majority of the work will be done in the alleys. Some will take place on street crossings and will impact traffic around those areas. Those driving in the construction area are advised to heed all traffic signs. Your chance to help pick who becomes the next Amarillo police chief is coming up soon. The recruiting firm hired to find a new chief is hosting a public meeting. It's August 25th at 6 p.m. This will be taking place in room 1500 of City Hall. Citizens can voice any concerns, feedback, or suggestions for those who filled that role. There is also an anonymous survey online that you can fill out. The City of Canyon commissioners approved raising the overall tax rate. They hosted a public meeting earlier and explained different suggested tax rates to pay for all the wants and needs and to serve the debt issued for the May bond election. The rate is just below the highest tax rate that can be adopted without needing an election. The proposed tax rate combines the maintenance and operating rate with the debt service rate.
After using the average homestead property values provided by PRAD, the increase in payment for the average home is going to be $304 for the year. $67 of that is going to be used for operations. $236 of that annually is going to be used to service debt.
This tax rate will bring in just under $300,000 in increased operating revenue. An appeals court rules that drag shows can happen on WT's campus while a lawsuit makes its way through the court system. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned a district court's ruling and put a temporary hold on the ban. You'll remember in 2023, a drag show meant to raise money for another organization was canceled. A lawsuit was filed, and in September of that year, a second show for March of 2024 was canceled. The appeals court issued that without issuing an injunction, the plaintiff's First Amendment rights would be violated. The Texas Republican Leadership Fund founder, Alex Fairley, has released a statement on the Republican Party of Texas and State Republican Executive Committee and their potential attempt to censure and block Republicans elected officials from appearing on the primary ballot in March. In part, quote, the decisions taken in place by State Republican Executive Committee to block candidates from appearing on the primary ballot is not only unlawful, it's disastrous for the Republican Party of Texas. He adds, if the SREC moves forward with an attempt to silence millions of Texas Republicans, the Texas Republican Leadership Fund PAC will fully fund and launch a legal challenge. It adds that the Texas Republican Leadership Fund's current cash on hand sits at $20 million. Congressman Ronnie Jackson is celebrating his export control bill being signed into law. It authorizes disclosures to Congress of each export control license application. Lawmakers could look at the applicant, the receipt, the decision made, and the compliance measures implemented. Jackson wrote this bill helps protect American innovators and strengthens our defense. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Texas from requiring nearly a dozen public school districts to display the Ten Commandments in every classroom. A group of families argue that the law violates the First Amendment separation of church and state. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says he plans to appeal the ruling. The legal battle is expected to reach the U.S. Supreme Court. Governor Greg Abbott announced a new transportation plan that will spread over the next 10 years. The Unified Transportation Program is meant to strengthen Texas roads and improve congestion as the state continues to grow. The program is projected to cost over $146 billion. A couple of examples of the project is the UTP are widening of the US 87 to a freeway from US 385 to US 287, the upgrade of State Loop 335 to a freeway north of Farmer to Market Road 2186. All newly issued driver's licenses and ID cards will look different. DPS unveiled the new design. They're said to have increased security features. All other state-issued licenses and IDs will be valid until their expiration date. The new ones will have a black star in the top right to show real ID compliance. The FBI raided former National Security Advisor John Bolton's home Friday morning. Source familiar with the matter confirmed to NBC News the raid was part of a national security investigation in search of classified records. The FBI officials said in a statement that the agency was conducting court-authorized activity in the area. The agency declined to comment further on the raid. Bolton did not immediately respond to NBC News for comment. Bolton served during 2 Republican administrations, first as an ambassador to the United Nations during George W. Bush's administration, and later as National Security Advisor to President Trump for about a year and a half during his first term. During the first Trump administration, the DOJ investigated Bolton under classified information and unsuccessfully pursued legal action to stop the publication of his memoir. We have updates on the sports dome being built in Borger, what the city manager has to say about the wait. When the Boomtown Multi-Sports Dome project was announced last year in Borger, it was surrounded by optimism and excitement. The $100 million project slated to host multiple sports, an institute and training complex and more. But lately, many people are asking why it's taking so long. Politics Today's Rochelle Hamilton Jr. has more.
The Boomtown Multi-Sports Dome project was announced about a year ago, bringing plenty of excitement and buzz to the area. But since then, not much has happened on the surface. But according to City Manager Garrett Spradling, there's reasons for that.
We've taken a few actions since then, but we're kind of now in the phase that just takes a long time. So the land that was proposed for that is undeveloped. It takes time for engineers to do the land assessment, to decide how big the lots need to be, how big the streets need to be. We have to have a traffic study to determine, what do those intersections look like? What type of pavement do those intersections need? We want to make sure that that's addressed before we develop anything. That just takes time.
Spradling telling us in the meantime, 828 entered into a memorandum of understanding with Frank Phillips College for curriculum development, which is part of the Sports Institute and training component of the complex. Another delay to the process, federal funds.
The EDC and the council has approved the EDC's application for an Economic Development Administration grant to help offset some of the infrastructure cost. That's added a little bit of delay to the project because federal funding got kind of delayed nationwide for all sorts of projects as they reviewed that. So that application is just now starting to get reviewed.
He says he wants to remind people the project is mainly a private development, so it's up to 828 Sports Ventures to take the necessary next steps.
City, the EDC, and 828 agreed to announce this way early on so that we could involve the project at an early stage. So when it was first announced, it was an idea. This has been nowhere near shovel-ready. It wasn't a shovel-ready project when it was announced. So the fact that it's taking so long, I don't think is really a concern. Their initial estimates were a 3 to 5 year build out anyway, so we're in like 18 months of that.
Spradling says no additional money other than funds previously paid in the first two phases has been paid out. As for the project not showing up on the City of Borger website,
it actually hasn't been scrubbed from the website. It got scrubbed from the homepage because that homepage section is like the current events. And so, of course, we're in budget season and tax rate season, so we have to post all of those public notices so that you have access to that. But under the businesses, there's still an 828 page. So if you search 828, it still pulls up with all the details of the project.
Spradling says he's heard the concerns about a similar 828 project in Mississippi that fell through. And while he didn't want to get into specifics, he did say these are two completely different issues.
There are specific details around each, especially the particular project in Mississippi, for why that didn't happen. There were some wetland issues and some size issues. And I know that the rumors are going around that we didn't vet, and I know that people are doing basic Google searches. We did more than Google searches. We've gone to Georgia. We've met with them. They are very mindful of our taxpayers and our government funding.
In Borger, Rochelle Hamilton Jr., KAMR, Local 4 News.
Spradling says another factor to consider, development and stability. He says Borger's infrastructure is built to handle about 30,000 people, and right now the city says a population of about 13,000. City leaders said they want to do something to stop the population decline, and a project like this can help them achieve that. For more on the Borger Mega Dome project, you can head over to our website, myhighplains.com. Texas Education Association's 2025 accountability rating for public schools has been released. We take a look at where Canyon ISD's rating fell this year. Texas Education Agency releasing the 2025 A through F accountability ratings for last school year. Politics Today's Maya Clark has details on how our local school districts scored.
Canyon, Amarillo, and Canadian ISDs, just 3 of the districts in the area receiving BTEA rating. Canyon ISD highlighting their academic growth across all campuses and academic distinctions, saying, quote, "These results reflect the dedication of our teachers, staff, students, and families. We are proud to see continued growth and excellence across our campuses, and we remain committed to achieving even higher levels of success moving forward." In Canadian ISD, Superintendent Dr. Julia McMahon shared that what's most important is giving students opportunities to succeed long-term.
Our students were accepted to some of the most prestigious universities in the country, and our small district earned over $1.4 million in scholarships for students. So our students are more than a rating. They are well-rounded. They're exceptional individuals.
In AISD, the district saw significant growth in their middle and high schools, saying, quote, state accountability results show AISD schools continue to make academic gains based on the most recent scores from STAR and EOC test. AISD's 12 middle schools grew by a total of 68 percentage points, and high school scores outperformed the state in all subject areas. Travis 6th grade saw the most significant academic growth across the district with an 18-point improvement. In Dalhart ISD, the district received a C rating. Superintendent Jeff Bird sharing they understand they have work to do, but their rating isn't reflective of the work happening by principals, teachers, students, and community members.
We're not content where we are. There's data that we need to do better, and we're willing to accept that and move forward. But at the end of the day, I'm okay with that data, but I don't want our teachers or our students to feel like failures because we're not failing our students.
According to TEA, the scores factor in how much students learned in their current grade, preparedness for the next grade, and success after high school. In Region 16, 16 school districts received an overall A rating, while 27 districts received Bs. To see more scores from across the area, you can go to our website, myhighplains.com. Bringing history from inside a museum to the public, how the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum is working to make that happen. And Route 66 is getting some new signage. We'll take a look at the unveiling ahead. Panhandle Plains Historical Museum's building may be closed, but they're still working to be a resource in the community. Politics Today's Maya Clark has details on how they're digitizing their database to make collections more accessible to the public.
Panhandle Plains Historical Museum board member Jason Boyette says digitizing the collection has been a 3-year project, but it's sped up recently. According to Boyette, the museum has about 2 million artifacts. Boyette says there is a back-end process where the museum and its curators keep track of all of that, including the stories, how they are received, where they come from, and what year they date back to. Boyette says the museum has digitized artifacts in the order of priority as quickly as possible, even before the museum was closed. And since the museum is currently closed to the public, it's given curators more time to prioritize the multi-year process.
It's the process of making sure all those details, all that data is collected in the same place. And so there's a back-end side of it that the curators have access to, and that's important for just keeping track of the information. But what's exciting about this new digitization system is that eventually it will be public-facing too.
Boyette, as if you want to see research about some of the documents and artifacts, you can go to their website and look at it. Boyette says they aren't to the point where it's readily available to the public yet, but they are getting there. He adds museums are working to digitize their collections because sometimes you need access to documents and artifacts that aren't local to you and you can't travel to. In studio, Maya Clark, KAM Local 4 News.
Maya, thank you. You can find all that on our website, myhighplains.com. The signage in Amarillo was unveiled today. Politics Today's Princess Bryan brings us more on the project for Route 66.
3 years in the making, now drivers traveling along the Mother Road will see signage after today's ceremonial unveiling.
This signage is a big deal. We're celebrating today the signage being brought to and being recognized. It's really important to get the travelers, whether it's commerce or just the traveler that's doing recreation, off of our big highways like I-40 and into the town to see Old Route 66, to see your restaurants, your mom and pop shops.
According to Gray Daggett, president of the Old Route 66 Association of Texas, this is more than a stretch of pavement, but a lifeline for small towns and a symbol of the American spirit. He asked the partnership with TxDOT took place after speaking with Representative John Smithy and Representative Caroline Fairley back in March.
It means a lot. It means a lot to the people here, and especially Route 66. It's the Mother Road. It's the one that's responsible for a lot of the communities here, and TxDOT wants to be as part of it as much as possible in order to be a part of that road's past, its present, and its future, and we just want to be involved as much as possible.
The Mother Road is filled with many stories like the ones that can be found over at Big Texan Steak Ranch.
Help the Mississippi River because there's so many people come through the Texas Panhandle wanting that Texas spirit. So for us to be able to support anything with Route 66, we're on top of it because it's done nothing but support us for 65 years.
And with the new signage being lined across Route 66, they hope to create many more. In Amarillo, Princess Bryan, Fox 14 News.
We'll wrap up Politics Today after this. The measles outbreak in West Texas has officially ended, so we'll jump into So This Happened. That news from the Texas Department of State Health Services. It's been more than 42 days since a new case has been reported in the counties of that area. Overall, 762 cases have been confirmed in the outbreak. More than 2/3 of the cases were in children, and 2 children died. You can stay up to the latest political news with us this week. We have continuing coverage on our website, myhighplains.com. I'm Jack Kessler. This is Politics Today.